What is up, you guys? I hope everyone's having a great day. If you're new, welcome to my channel. Hope everyone doing wonderful. We are back with Wansee Entertainment, and this is two horror stories animated: Abandoned House and Psychopath. It's really hard for me to find like videos to react to. I know it's just scary stuff, talk on scary stuff, but I enjoy the scary stuff because there's not a lot of stuff I'm interested in to react to, but I'm open. If it's on it, you know.
Hello, my friends. Today I'd like to introduce a brand new game, and believe
Blair
this
Witch.
is lit. As we all know, you guys and I like a horror story, and this is why I am convinced that you will
Isn't
love
that a
this
game?
game.
Like
A new game, Blair Witch, from the Hunt to Killer series, has just come out. A few weeks ago, one box had delivered to my house.
The Abandoned House story.
I'm not much of a storyteller, so bear with me. During the 90s, I went through a very rough time in my life. After a failed marriage, I became a bit of a nomad, wandering across country on foot with no particular destination. It was a stupid idea, but I was in a very hopeless place back then, and just looking to experience something new. I've been traveling down South Dakota and hitched a ride with a truck driver into Nebraska. For those of you who have never been to that state, there are large sections of land that go on for miles with nothing but cornfields lining either side of the road.
Okay.
We split ways at a rest stop, and I made my way into what I now know to be the Sand Hills of Nebraska. The Sand Hills region is one of the most isolated areas in the United States. 20,000 square miles of nothing but dunes and prairies. I planned on hitchhiking my way to the nearest town and catching a bus to visit a friend I had in Omaha. But I found out the hard way that this stretch of road was not ideal for hitchhiking. I barely saw any cars going down this road, and the ones that did completely ignored me. 12 hours had passed, and I was running low on food and water. I was utterly exhausted at this point,
I would never
and
want
I
to
needed
get
to
in
find
a
a place to
car.
rest for a while. I had about an hour left of daylight. Lucky for me, I happened to come upon an old farmhouse that was situated about a half-mile away from the main road. From a distance, I thought this place may have been occupied, but when I got closer, it was clear to me that this house was abandoned. This was around the fall, so weather in Nebraska wasn't terrible. However, the nights were a bit on the cold side, so I decided to hold up in this house for the night and continue my journey the next day. I had enough supplies to last me one more night. The house was your typical rotting husk. Smelled like mold, severe water damage, creaking floors, etc. The
Typical,
living
as
room
usual,
seemed to be the only decent place to settle down at,
bugs
so I
and
unpacked
all.
my sleeping bag and eventually dozed off. I woke up to the sound of floorboards creaking. I immediately sat up and listened. I could hear several pairs of footsteps thudding all around the house. They were coming from upstairs, downstairs,
Oh my God.
on the back porch outside, and even in the same room with me. But I didn't see a thing. I quickly got to my feet and walked over to the nearest window and peered out. What I saw was truly alarming and sent a wave of nausea through my entire body. Several cloaked figures were standing side by side.
They will
appeared
take you.
to be encircling the house.
They got you.
Because of the footsteps I heard, I thought there may have been people in the house with me.
They're
So
saying
in
a
an effort to
seance.
confuse things, I made another big brain decision and spoke up. Hello? I'm sorry if I'm trespassing. I was just looking for a place to rest for the night. I thought this place was
Boy,
abandoned.
there's no need to
Again,
talk to them.
I'm sorry.
They don't care.
All the footsteps stopped at once. An eerie silence followed. It was so quiet that I could have heard a mouse shitting in the corner. I got this real bad feeling in my gut, so I reached into my backpack and pulled out my hunting knife.
Leave.
I gathered the rest of my things and slowly moved out into the hallway. Aside from the mysterious figures outside, I was also thinking of what was making those footsteps inside the house. As I said, I heard several footsteps when I woke up, so I figured it wouldn't be long before I ran into someone inside the house. But after combing the entire downstairs, I didn't see or hear anything. I could tell something was very off.
Someone's waiting for
That
you.
bad feeling I mentioned earlier intensified, despite the fact that I knew there was a bunch of weirdos in cloaks waiting for me outside. Something told me that if I didn't leave the house that very moment, something terrible
As soon as you
was
go
going
back to
happen
sleep,
me.
they're gonna get you.
The house was located in a wide open clearing. Beyond the clearing was a barrier of tall grass. When I left through the front door, I stopped directly in front of the house. No matter which direction I looked, I saw another hooded menace blocking my way. I suddenly felt this heat on my back. I quickly turned around. I cannot explain how this happened. Moments before, I was inside the house, walking around, and it was now on fire. I backed away. I decided I was going to run through the figures and get the hell out of Dodge. But when I turned back around,
They got closer and
the
closer.
figures were nowhere in sight. Things were getting way too bizarre for me at that point. The only thing I knew for sure was that I had to get the fuck out of that place. When I got back out to the main road, I didn't stop walking until I finally got to a town, whose name I can't remember. The rest of my time in Nebraska went well, and I got my life together shortly after I got back home from my trip. As long as I live, I'll never forget that old farmhouse and those mysterious cloaked figures. This incident still baffles me to this day, but perhaps some things are best left unanswered.
Uh-oh. Don't go somewhere you're not invited. Even though you didn't know.
Have you guys experienced this before? Of course, I can tell you that I'm a very normal person.
Do you think I'm a
However,
psychopath?
I felt like I'm a psychopath when I was very young. Whenever I talk about this, it feels like I'm talking about someone else, but it's definitely my memory. Let me tell you some of my childhood memories. I'm going to start my first story lightly. My mom said that when I was young, I would often pick up a few worms from the ground, bring them home, and divide them into a few pieces with a shovel. Secondly, I dimly remember it, but after fighting with my sister, I always couldn't hold back my anger. So I used to walk around with a blade cutter to make a rattling sound, putting the blade up and down. My third story is, just when I learned walking around, I happily went to greet my second sister bringing a knife when she came home. That's what my mom said to me too. She said I especially liked knives when I was young, and I don't know why. The fourth story. One day my mom went to the bathroom to take a shower, leaving me alone in the living room. As I was a little child back then, I was watching TV, and there was a scene about a doctor who was doing surgery. And I guess I wanted to copy his motion with the same way. So I stabbed myself in the stomach with a knife a little bit. My mom came out of the bathroom at the same time, and of course she was very surprised, even shocked. She took me to the emergency room that day. I had a slight surgical scar on my stomach until when I was in elementary school, so that can be a proof that it's a literally true story. The fifth,
Any faces
I
you
recently
making?
found an album in the wardrobe a few days ago. The pictures were mainly about me and my mom. However, some of my mom's pictures in the album were kind of weird. It's like her eyes were cut out as someone had purposely pierced it. "Hey Mom, what's wrong with these pictures?" I asked her. And she answered, "When you were a kid, you would always get angry and pierce my eyes on every picture of me whenever you argued with me." My mom in those pictures was smiling pretty when she was young, but I ruined all of them. I felt really sorry. When I wrote down like this, I thought I was crazy or something, seriously. But when I was talking with my mom about the past, I didn't believe that I did it. And finally, the last story is the main point of why I had to write this. Because this is the one that only I remember, and which is that my mom will never know. I still don't know why. Anyway, I was in elementary school at the time.
Being a bad little
One day around 3 p.m., my mom came back from work and fell asleep on the couch. And like a psycho in a thriller movie, I grabbed a big knife in the kitchen. slowly approached my mom. I went right in front of her and just stood there, staring at her for a long time. At this time, I felt like it was me doing this, but on the other hand, it was not me. Then I remember that she twisted a little, as if she was going to wake up. And being surprised, I put the knife back in place. This story is a secret that I can never tell my mom, no matter how much time goes by. Pretty goosebumps, huh?
Ooh.
But there's something even more creepy. Not long ago, my mom told me about her childhood story with her grandmother. And turned out, she once stood behind my grandma's back holding a knife when she was a little kid, like me. But when Grandma turned around and asked my mom what she was holding there, she finally recovered her consciousness, and she put the knife back in the kitchen. You see, it's a very similar story to mine. Of course, she never knows what I did that day. She just told me her story accidentally.
And she was asleep.
Don't you guys think it's a creepy? I'm just wondering if the psychopath's temperament is the reason of genetics influence.
It might be. It just might be. Yeah, it's crazy when you go into abandoned houses. You never know what you're going to find. You never know what's going to happen. You're just walking out of nowhere. You're just trying to chill, get some rest. And I don't know about this. Maybe you are a psychopath. Maybe you are. It's crazy because she knows she's aware of it and she's conscious of it, you know. But I don't know. So tell me guys what you think about this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, you guys. Like I said, check out my other channel in the description below. Till next time, you guys. Have the most awesome day. Peace.